Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the unique features of CTA Section Golf, and we're going to style it up as usual so you can see how easy it is to make this frame your own. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to go up to the template library. I'm going to click on remote templates. It is a good idea to hit the refresh button. Just make sure you're always pulling in the latest frames updates. I'm also going to tick on import images. And then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to sort by CTA sections. You can also find this frame in the social proof section as well, because what this frame does, and you can see the screenshot of it right here, is it surrounds your call to action with testimonial cards. I'm going to go ahead and add this. Now, one thing I want you to note is that the screenshot of that frame actually showed a light frame. All of our frames show a light version of the frame. This website happens to be using a dark theme. So in the automatic CSS settings, we have it set to a dark base color for the website, and then we have text set to a light color. And notice when I add the theme to the website, it already inherits what's going on the website. So it's already inherited the dark background. It's also already inherited this accent heading right here, because this accent heading has been styled elsewhere on the website. This is another kind of global element that's just a component of this frame. And therefore, the accent heading is the way that I already want it. This is not how it comes out of the box. It only looks like this because on this particular site, it's been styled this way already, that FR accent heading class. Okay. So our buttons obviously are normal button action buttons. And then we have our secondary link here inside of this frame. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding content. And it is very important for you to pay attention to the details of this frame. There are a lot of unique features under the hood, and there are some unique ways that you can use this frame and customize the behavior of this frame a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to pretend that this is a roofing company website. Our headline is going to be a comprehensive roof inspection costs you nothing. And I actually want, I'm going to select the class on this so that if I ever use this frame again, the same exact styling happens again. I'm going to leave this as an H2 because that's semantically appropriate, but I am going to go to style typography and I'm going to make it H1 sized. So I'm going to use the H1 variable so that it matches my H1 size, even though semantically it's staying as an H2. Being that this is a call to action section, I really want it to like be in your face when you are a visitor. Make it very, very obvious what we want you to do. I am going to adjust this badge styling just a little bit. So I'm going to use the text S class to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm actually going to extend the padding on the left and right just to make it a little bit more badgy-like. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to write our copy. We're going to say we've done thousands of roof repairs and roof replacements and are consistently loved by Dallas homeowners. If you give us the opportunity to repair or replace your roof, we guarantee it'll get done the right way, on budget, and on time. All right, I don't think I had any typos in there. Our main call to action is going to be free inspection, and then this is going to say ask a question. Okay, so that would like take people to the contact page if they just have a question. This would take people to the free inspection inquiry form. All right, fantastic. Now what I want to do over here is, first of all, we can't see the text. Why? Because we're using a dark theme and our text by default is light. So this text is coming in as light, though it is already on like a light card. So that no problem whatsoever. This is very easy to adjust. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the class because I want this change to apply to every single one of these cards. We're not doing one by one styling. That's not efficient. It's not using the power of frames and the BEM classes that are already provided to you. So if I go to typography, I'm going to choose one of our base colors here. We're going to try base dark. And then if I click on the name and I select that class and I go, I'm going to select base ultra dark for this one. And you're going to see immediately every single one of them is fixed. So very, very easy to adjust all of these things. I want to talk for a minute about these individual cards. Even though this is CTA, I think it's CTA Golf. Is that what we're doing? I can't remember the names anymore. Yeah, there it is right there in the structure panel, CTA Section Golf. You'll notice because of the modular nature of frames that we're actually using a different card. We're using Testimonial Card Hotel inside of this grid over here on the right-hand side. This is actually built with Flexbox. But this card right here, Testimonial Card Hotel, the reason it can become different sizes is because it's built itself with CSS grid, and we're using CSS grid overlap techniques on these cards. You're gonna come to find, if you've spent enough time with frames, that what's going on under the hood is far more advanced than what any other design system or layout kit or theme or whatever they wanna call it is doing. And so the other thing about this is you're gonna notice that there are multiple different sizes. It seems a little bit random. It also seems like their position is a little bit random. And that's actually what creates this visual interest, right? It's not just a standard straight edge line grid type of thing. It's like we got a floating effect going on here. And the question is, how easy is that to manage, manipulate? How responsive is it? That brings up a lot of questions, right? In a lot of theme development or design system development or sets or whatever, I think what most people would do is go item by item and it'd be adjusting the size and its position and all of that. When in fact, what we've done, if we click on this testimonials group and go down to CSS, you're gonna see right here that this entire layout is controlled from one area, and you don't really need to ever really touch any of this. I mean, you can if you want to, and if you know what you're doing, you can. But I do want you to, I want to show you one thing. We used a lot of what are called locally scoped variables in frames. And this allows us to basically give you a point of control for what's going on in the frame that allows you to control the frame without having to dig into what all of this code is trying to do. For example, we have a shift variable right here. So the way these cards are shifting and playing off of each other can actually be controlled by this handle right here. So as I move this number, whether I make it more negative or less negative, watch what happens. So I do a -2, a -4, a -5. Look how this is like, I'm able to manipulate what's going on in this section, even at the decimal level, and just get the exact kind of like float / shape that I want without risking breaking any of this stuff. If I don't know what I'm doing here, I can still start to manipulate some of the behavior of this frame. Okay, anyway, I digress. Let's take a look at one of the most important features of this frame. What I think a lot of people would do is, and this would be more along the lines of beginners, amateurs, etc., they would add a photo independently to each one of these cards, and then they would add the call out testimonial to each one of these cards, and they would do this very manually. But we want to be more professional. We want to be more scalable and maintainable. And if you're building maintainable websites, if you're building truly scalable websites, most likely what you've done is you've created a testimonials custom post type. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in the back end and I'm going to go show you the testimonials custom post type that we've added to this website. This literally takes, I don't know, 30 seconds. I'm not being, I'm being honest. 30 seconds to create a testimonials custom post type. And it's very simple. It uses the main heading for the person's name. It uses the Gutenberg editor for their actual testimonial. And then all I've added is a little call out right here. Now I'm going to show you two different ways that you can approach this. You can actually dynamically insert their entire testimonial, but in bricks, you can actually cut it off at a certain amount of characters or words. That's one option. But if you notice, it says like Shane, Jessica, and crew are absolutely wonderful. Not every testimonial says the main point right there in the first sentence. So if you just take the entire testimonial and you chop it off after a certain number of words, that first bit that gets included may not be so great. So if you want control over what the actual call out is in cards like this, all it takes is one little custom field called call out that's attached to your testimonials. And then you manually grab the talking point, the main talking point, the best sentence that that person gave you, and you drop it here into the call out. This takes a little bit of extra work, but guys, this is why we get paid the big bucks, right? You got to do the extra work. And again, what was it like? I don't know, 60 seconds per testimonial. It adds in work, if that. So you add the custom field, and let me show you the power of this frame. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to come in, and I'm going to find the first Testimonial Card Hotel. You can see them all right here if I collapse them all. I only need the first one. And again, this shows you the power of these frames. When we are planning out the frame and how people are going to use it, decisions like this are absolutely critical. And if these decisions are made improperly in other design sets or themes or whatever you happen to be using, you end up running into a major roadblock. Our goal with frames is that you never run into roadblocks. So watch what I mean. I'm going to delete all of these other cards. And you're like, you know, in many cases, if you had change the width of those cards on a card by card basis, if you had changed the position of those cards, you're like, you just blew up my entire layout. That entire layout is now broken. It's gone. I'm going to add cards. They're going to look exactly like this one. I don't know how to get those other cards back that were floating in different positions and different sizes. No. No problem in frames whatsoever. I'm going to take this card right here and I'm going to turn it into a query loop. And then I am going to ask it what to query. My post type is going to be testimonials. I'm going to ask it to query 6 of them because that's what this frame is for. And look at this. They come right back. How did they come right back in their own sizes and their own positions? How does the query loop know? Well, it's because of the way we structured the CSS. It's because when I showed you a minute ago, where all of this CSS is contained, right? I said this entire layout is from this one point of control, not attached to the individual cards like a lot of people would do it. We're doing it differently to make it work with query loops specifically because we know that more professional users are going to be using query loops. Does it work manually if you don't want to use a query loop? Absolutely, you can use it manually. But if you want to use a query loop like a professional would do, it is compatible with a query loop as well. So let me show you as we continue to build this out. All I have to do is I get rid of the call out that's in there. I go into my dynamic data and I search for the call out custom field. I pop it in. I go in, I take out the name John Doe. I replace that with the post title. That's where the person's name was in the back end. You can see it right there. That is the title of the post, right? Okay, and then what else do I need? I need their featured image. So I'm gonna go remove our placeholder, dynamic data, featured image. I'm gonna choose a smallish version like 300. That's gonna work for all of those. And then I'm gonna go ahead and hit save and check out exactly what has happened here. Every testimonial that is in my, or at least the first 6 testimonials, and keep in mind, I can randomize them. I can use a filter to say, hey, only show testimonials that are in X category, only show testimonials that are bidirectionally related to the service page that we happen to be on. Very professional stuff, right? All of that is available to you. And still, you can limit it if you need to. See how this one is it's a little bit on the long side, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you that extra step of how you would limit this if you wanted to. So a really cool feature in Bricks, if you go right before the closing tag and put a colon, then you can define the number of words you actually want it to clamp at, and it will clamp at that number of words. Now we might do 12. We gotta be, just find one that works for most of them. You can even put a ... after it. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. I'm gonna refresh and check this out. Now it's clamping them at 12 words, but we're still getting the vast majority of the point of the testimonial, right? And these testimonial cards are not designed to display full testimonials. We're just giving people a little bit of social proof to help them make their decision on engaging with the call to action, right? So this is not really a full testimonial section. That's why it's called CTA Section Golf. It's a call to action section that uses testimonials to help encourage people, like testimonial snippets, we'll call them, with large images and just a really good visual approach to encourage them to click and engage with the call to action. Now we're not done here. I want to continue on just styling this up. So I'm going to grab the avatar class right here, and I'm gonna go to style border, and we're gonna go with like 8 pixels on all sides. We're gonna go with a solid, and we are going to use the action color because I want to bring more color, more pop, more attention into this section. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this little card. Notice that everything, so this little white card that's attached to these images, everything has its own class so that when I style it, every other similar element uses those same exact styles, right? Perfect for maintainability and scalability. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to border radius, and I wanna give these the same radius that my buttons have. So we're gonna do radius S. I'm gonna extend that to all sides, and now suddenly I've got a nice rounded corner on these white call-out cards. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my section itself. I'm gonna go to background and drop a background image in. We're gonna use this one, and I'm gonna set this to center maybe? Or let's see what the best positioning is. Let's try top center. Top center looks pretty good. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is make sure it's set to cover, and we're gonna no repeat this. And then I do wanna add an overlay. Notice I'm doing this at the ID level because I don't want to set this background image on every single iteration of this CTA section. I only wanna set it on this one particular section, okay? I'm gonna apply this overlay to the overlay, and or you can do, I think you can do the background here. I don't use bricks as overlays all that much. You can also use an overlay class from Automatic CSS, by the way, if you wanted to. In fact, let's go ahead and try that. Why are we messing with this stuff when we can just do overlay, and we'll do base ultra dark trans 80, something like that. And there you go. There's your overlay right there. Very simple. Because I'm only doing it to this one frame, I'm free to use a utility class. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. Man, let's go ahead and look at this on the front end. This is looking like a pretty nice section. You saw how easy it was to customize this. You saw how it works with the query loop, how we can use a custom field callout, how we can limit the number of words in the call out if we wanted to. And then, we ask, like, what does this do on mobile devices? Well, we didn't want all those images, try to fit all those images in. So what it actually does is it just drops a few of them. It keeps 3 of them right here so that you can read them and have plenty of context there. And, depending on the size of the device, depends on, how tall these cards are. Of course, this is gonna all be adjusted as well. So you can really dial this in to the pixel if you wanted to. But it's a very responsive section, does not break on any device, whether it's this main grid or the cards themselves. Very, very fantastic frame. One of my favorites thus far. I'm very excited about it. I've used it on a site already, and I want you to get your hands on it as well. So hope you found this rundown very useful. If you have any comments, as always, drop them below. We're happy to jump in and reply. We can give you help. We can give you additional insight or context. Whatever you need, let us know. Peace.